You're not alone. If you need someone to talk to today, please contact Crisis Services Canada by either calling them at 1-833-456-4566 all hours of the day, or you can text them at 45645 at 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern Time. Remember, you're not alone, and Crisis Services Canada is here to help. Welcome to another edition of Coffee with Graeme on Amateur Sports TV. I'm your host, Graeme Forsyth. Welcome to this Tuesday, December 15th edition of the show. Today, I sit down with number 14 of the Notre Dame Hounds, Ryann Perrett. And Ryann is in her second season now with Notre Dame. She's put up 9 points in 4 games to this point this season. Last year, she earned the league's Rookie of the Year award and was named to the second team All-Star team in the league. She put up 31 points in 30 games last year, so this year she's well on her way to surpassing that total. And Ryann, before coming into the Saskatchewan Female U18 AAA Hockey League, she played with the Calgary Fire White and Calgary Fire Red in the AFHL U15 AA Bantam League. And Ryann, in those 2 years, ended up winning back-to-back provincial championships with those 2 Calgary teams. She also committed early to Robert Morris University this season for 2022-2023, and she has also had a chance to play in the North American Hockey Classic, which I pronounced wrong in the interview, but I said Northern American Hockey Classic, but it's the North American Hockey Classic. And in her final year out of the 3 years she played in that tournament with Nothern Alberta United in 2019, she ended up capturing a gold medal with that team at that tournament. So sit back, enjoy the show today. Remember to grab your cup of joe or anything you guys bring to enjoy the shows with yourselves. I'll be sitting down with number 14 of the Notre Dame Hounds, Ryann Perrett, in just a moment, but this is a production of Amateur Sports TV's Coffee with Graeme. I'm your host, Graeme Forsyth. Ryann Perrett, number 14 of the Notre Dame Hounds, joining me on this December 15th edition of the show. Joining me now is number 14 for the Notre Dame Hounds, Ryann Perrett. And Ryann, I had a chance to talk to your dad yesterday. We got some information about you before this interview, and he said that you're back in your hometown of Calgary right now. The league is on pause. How's that been moving back into your hometown of Calgary for this pause in the league right now?
It's been different because Calgary's a big city compared to Wilcox, which is a super small town. And since Calgary's going back on lockdown, it's just kind of been staying at home and just being alone with my family.
So have you had a chance to speak with your team at all? Have you guys been staying connected during this time?
Yeah, well, our school is still on for the kids that live around Wilcox or in Wilcox. And our team talks every day, and we've only been apart for about a week, so.
In Wilcox, I mean, you started your career, not started your career, but you played 2 years in the Alberta Female Hockey League for Calgary Fire White and then Calgary Fire Red in the prior 2 seasons before making the move into the Saskatchewan Female AAA U18 Hockey League. So why did you decide to move from Calgary to Wilcox to continue your playing career?
Well, my dad did move there to coach a year before that I came, so that was a big influence on why I moved over there, but also just for a change. I played with the same people my whole life, so it was a nice change.
And you've had a chance to play under your dad as a coach before this season and the season prior?
Yes, when I was younger for 1 year and then like a couple years of spring, that's about it.
So how's that relationship been with him? I mean, obviously it might be a bit different from the on-ice to the off-ice relationship because it's more of that professional relationship on the ice, but how's that relationship been with your father on the ice?
Well, honestly, if you didn't know we were related, you wouldn't be able to tell until you looked at our last names. It's kind of dad at home and coach at the rink. and he cheers me just like anyone else. He sits me just as much as everyone else. I get in trouble if I do something wrong just as much as everybody else. So,
yeah. And I mean, playing for him, I mean, he's won Coach of the Year last year in the Saskatchewan Female AAA U18 Hockey League. But what have you learned from him from these years of playing for him?
Oh, I've learned many things. He's created very good culture with our team and at our school, and that's one thing I've noticed a difference from coming over. I'd say he's a very good coach. I enjoy him coaching me, even though he is my dad and it is a little bit different. I like the rules he has set in place with our team. I like the morals and values he has for coaching, and everything's important from preparing to game on ice, after ice. Recovery is very important to him. He just takes 24 hours before the game, 24 hours after the game. It's very important for him. We have our routines with our team, and I just think he's done a very good job.
How have you guys been handling the pause so far this season?
Well, at least this season we kind of knew it was coming. We knew at one point we'd have to be on a pause, and we didn't get to start our season in September. I think that's a major factor on our team, is we kind of just knew it was coming at one point. So we weren't heartbroken like last year, the day before playoffs. We were so ready to go, and it just got canceled on us. So we got to play some games too, which was nice. And every single game we played, we made sure we didn't take anything for granted, because we don't really know when our last one was going to be. So, yeah.
So you'd say the feeling was exactly that last season was heartbreak when you heard the news?
Yeah, it was awful, especially for our grade 12s who didn't know their last game was going to be their last game. And we had a couple, I think one or two, that didn't go on to play college hockey, so they took that a little bit hard. But other than that, at least our grade 12s most of them committed somewhere, so they had a place to play.
And you come into this team last year. I mean, there were a good amount of grade 12s on the team last year. And I mean, you lead this team in points. I mean, with 31 points last year, 17 goals and 14 assists in 30 games. How do you think you were able to come in and make an impact last year, especially playing against girls that were, maybe a year or two older than you?
Honestly, about this time last year, we had a couple line changes, and my line just clicked. And it wasn't just me; it was also my line mates Claire and Cass, and we just worked well. We made sure we weren't selfish with anything. It wasn't about who put the puck in the net; it was about that the puck went in the net, and that we were doing those plays and finishing on those plays. And our team isn't selfish. Wasn't last year; it's not this year. We're not all about who puts in the net, who gets the most points, all of that. It's a team thing. So it just happened to be sometimes it was me, or sometimes I'd get the assists on them. So it was more of a 5-man unit sort of thing versus just me.
And would you say that's one of the things you love playing for this team? I mean, you get to play for your dad. I mean, you play in a system it's a culture where, like you said, it's pretty unselfish out there for these last 2 years.
Yeah, it also helps, we all live together. We all go to school together. We're with each other all the time. We understand each other. We know how to work with each other. So it's not like we go and see each other for 2 hours a day and then go home and don't see each other for another 2 days. We're with each other 24/7. So.
And I had a chance to speak to your dad yesterday, and I asked him about the strengths that he's seen in your game, and I had a chance to watch a bit of some game footage last year that you guys played against Prince Albert. You guys were playing them, and I mean, what I noticed in your game was just your speed, your high hockey IQ, and your dad complimented the same things. I mean, he said that you have the high hockey IQ, the position, reading the play, making plays at high speeds. I mean, that goes into your speed. Obviously, I mean, you got the shot too because you are a goal scorer. And even though you didn't put up insane amount of goals last year, you still put up a fair amount of goals. I mean, 17 last year. I mean, you play with an edge, you're competitive. Would you say that, I mean, those were some of the things that you saw improve in your game throughout the season last year? Were there other things that kind of perked up in your game that you kind of took full advantage of that did improve? I'd say just overall my hockey IQ's improved so much. Just being able to read
Our line chemistry helped a lot because I knew how they played, so I could start making those plays that I normally wouldn't. I could try new things, and I could trust my line mates. I'd also say, like, my play improved off the ice as well, like being a good teammate, learning how to be, like, good person, happy for others, all of that kind of stuff I'd say improved a lot too.
And we're going to go to our first commercial break in the show. I've been joined by Ryann Perrett, second-year player for the Notre Dame Hounds and the Saskatchewan Female AAA U18 Hockey League here on Coffee with Graeme. When we come back, we're going to talk to Ryann about, we're going to continue talking about her career with the Notre Dame Hounds so far. We're going to also talk about her time in the AFHL, where she played at the bantam level 2 years prior to playing with Notre Dame. And we're also going to talk about some tournaments she's played in, as well as her commitment to Robert Morris University. So we're going to hear from our first sponsor here, Anada, and its natural beauty made in Canada. And there's the sponsor of everything on the show to do with female hockey. So stick with us. I'll be right back with Ryann Perrett, number 14 for the Notre Dame Hounds. Graeme Forsyth back here with Ryann Perrett, number 14 for the Notre Dame Hounds. And you just heard from our sponsor of everything female hockey here on the network, Anada, natural beauty made in Canada. And now we're going to move into, we're going to keep talking about the season that Ryann had last year. We talked about some of the things that she improved on before we went to break. And I mean, were there any parts of your game last year, Ryann, that you would say kind of, you struggled in at parts in the season, but kind of found your way to improving them throughout the season?
I definitely say my puck control at a high speed was at first a little iffy, but got definitely a lot better at the end of the season.
So one of the strengths that we mentioned before was you making plays at high speeds, and you'd say that was something that really improved last year. Would you say that was a tribute to, just getting used to the speed of the game out there and just playing against older competition and just kind of getting more confident with the puck out there?
Mm-hmm.
Right on. So, I mean, last season, the cancellation of the season was devastating for so many reasons. I mean, you guys didn't get to, go out there and, maybe shock the top teams like Regina and Swift Current. Like you said, there were some girls that, two girls in particular on the team you said last year that didn't get to continue their playing career after while, playing college hockey. But, you guys had a strong February last year, and you guys, lost the last 2 games of the season, but there were some close games. You played Swift Current in those games, but you beat Swift Current in February. You beat Regina near the end of February as well. And those were 2 top teams in the league. They were the 2 top teams in the league. So that begs the question with the team you had last year, the experience. And you being able to be the player you were last year, being the team leader in points, did you feel that this team had a legitimate chance of maybe challenging those teams and maybe even taking those teams down in a playoff series last year?
I definitely think if we would have played Swift last year, it would have been definitely a good 3 games. I think it definitely would have gone to a 3rd game, and it would have been a toss-up between who would have won. But I think those 3 games would have been very strong, as both of their teams were very good at the end of the year last year.
And last year, even though it was disappointing, you guys didn't get to finish off the season. You end up winning League Rookie of the Year, and you were also a second-team All-Star. So from coming into a team where you're a rookie, you're one of the younger ones out there, of course, being a rookie, and just having the type of season you had, winning Rookie of the Year in the whole league and getting a second-team All-Star nomination and, I mean, being named to that second All-Star team. Were there things that you expected from the start of the year to happen at the end of the year?
I definitely had a very successful season last year, and I was very proud of myself at the end of the season. I definitely didn't think I'd be as successful as I was, so that was something I was very happy about. Last year going into the season, I just wanted to adjust to the pace and just be at the top of my game I possibly could, which I think I did. So I was very proud of myself at the end of the season last year.
Moving into this season, I mean, you're leading the league in points right now. Your teammate, Emma Thompson, is right behind you with, 2 points less with 7 points. You got 9 points so far. And you also made a pretty huge commitment to continue your playing career after you're done in AAA hockey in Saskatchewan. And you committed to Robert Morris University. And this is a team that plays in America in Moon Township, Pennsylvania. I haven't even heard of that town, but congratulations on, advancing in your career beyond the AAA level. To playing university hockey, that's such a huge achievement. But why did you decide to take your talents to the States and continue your career in United States of America?
I really wanted a change of scenery. I've lived in Alberta and in Saskatchewan, kind of the middle of Canada. I was interested in Robert Morris. I really liked their school. Their team they have a pretty decent team. Their players that they've recruited, like Bailey Kerwin, Sydney Peterson, they're also high top level players. I just really liked everything about Robert Morris. I like the size of the school. It's kind of small. Notre Dame is a very small campus. I really enjoy it. It's a campus where you kind of know everyone. So I didn't want to go to a huge school down in the States. Pittsburgh also it's not extremely far from home, but it's still kind of far, so I can be independent. And the NCAA has really good hockey, and I just liked everything about it.
Yeah, and you get to play in Division I hockey still, and like you said, you get to play with players like Bailey Kerwin and Sydney Peterson, who, Bailey Kerwin, arguably the best player in the league coming into this season, and Sydney Peterson, arguably one of, if not the best defenseman in the league this season as well. Last season and then going into the season, but how excited are you to play with some familiar faces, some faces that you've played with, and how cool do you think it's going to be to actually play on the same team as these girls?
Well, since I've only ever played against them, and they're definitely the players to watch out for, I think it'll be very nice to finally get to be on their team instead of having to play against them and worry about them, get to be with them, cheer them on. And yeah, I think that's about it.
And you have a season still. You're not going next season to play in university. You still have a season to play in the Saskatchewan AAA U18 Female League here. What are some of the things that you're looking to improve in your game from this time to when you get to college hockey?
Well, definitely speed is going to be a big thing. College hockey is definitely going to be a step up from what I'm playing at right now, and definitely improving my, puck handling skills at fast paces, and everything's just going to be a level up from it is right now. So I just need to prepare myself physically, in the gym, get stronger especially, and yeah.
And you're on this team this season. It's your second year. There's some talent that's left. You got a bigger role to fill. How do you think, obviously you've handled it pretty well with you being first in the league in points, but how have you felt that you've handled taking on a bigger responsibility this year?
I think I've done it well. My line mate Emma, I really enjoy playing with her. We were just starting to play well together. We read off each other, kind of think the same. She has extremely good hands, so it makes my job a bit easier. Just give her the puck, she can do something cool, put it in the net, But my whole team, it's not just me, it's my whole team. Again, I trust my defenseman, I trust my goalie, I trust my teammates. We all just kind of read off each other, make plays. Again, unselfish, so it works really well.
And I mean, seems like there's a extreme amount of trust between, I mean, you, the new players coming in, and the players that have been here before. I mean, how have you guys been able to bond so far this season in this short amount of time that you guys have been able to be with each other in person?
Well, I think living together really helps the girls, and me too. We didn't start practicing with our team until October, I think it was. So some of the other teams already had their team picked, which was a little bit different. But I think we did lots. We have one class a day with each other. We did some team building. Right off the bat, we started just doing lots of things together, keeping each other accountable is a big thing in the gym and on the ice. So I think just everyone wants the same thing in the end. We want to be a good team. It's not necessarily about winning. It's us getting better, or individuals getting better, working together as a team. I think just it comes from our coaches too. That's what they push for. I know it's a little cheesy, but there's no I in team. That's a big thing. Just being selfless really helps.
So this totally went over my head. I'm assuming that you're part of a hockey academy. Am I correct?
Yeah. Well, it's not just a hockey school, but we have lots of teams, and that's like the main sport played at our school.
Yeah, sweet. So that's cool. So you guys are actually living together, just not in the same, hometown. That's really cool. Was that one of the experiences, besides moving out to Wilcox to play with your dad, is that one of the things that you really wanted to experience, is really having that sisterhood, I guess, with these girls, being able to live with each other?
Yeah, I really enjoy it. We get to know one another very well. I've became very close friends with some people, and it's really cool to see. We have people from all over the world. We have someone from Russia. We have people from the States, all over Canada. So it's also nice to see kind of different cultures as well.
So just moving back into the product that you guys have put on the ice this season, you guys established yourselves as a team, a force to be reckoned with in your first two games against Weyburn. Beating them in those two games to start the season undefeated with a record of 2-0, and your team scored 15 goals in those two games combined. They came against Weyburn, who is the worst team in the league this season. But if you're going to be a top team, those are the types of games where you just got to establish yourselves as a top team by doing that. So what did you like from just the offense in general in those games, and just the all-around team effort for you guys to get those two wins against Weyburn and to establish yourselves as a force to be reckoned with so early in the season?
Well, from the beginning of the season, we put a base down in our defensive zone. It's very important. We've been focusing on getting it out from like the wingers and it's good because Weyburn they were pinching a lot, which was nice. So we could kind of work on that. They're also a very physical team. So us learning how to play at a high level with physicality in the game was a good thing that we learned. We also were creating that game. He didn't have a bunch of set plays for us, because when there's set plays, we always look for just those set plays. We were kind of learning how to read the play, trying new things, getting pucks to nets from different angles of the ice. And we had a good 2 games.
Then you guys move into your next doubleheader of the season, and they're your last 2 games before the season hit a pause. But you guys played Swift Current, and in those 2 meetings, you guys split. In the first game, you ended up beating them 4-2, and you stepped up huge in that game. 2 goals and 1 assist. But just let's talk about the matchup you had with Bailey Kerwin. I'm sure that was a heavy emphasis in that game. You guys matching up against each other. What was it like playing against her this season? Getting to play against her this time around, where you played against her, sure, last season, but this was you got a different view of playing against her because you know her skills, you know what she's all about. But what was that like matching up against her?
Well, Bailey Corona is extremely quick, extremely. She is capable of making plays all over the ice. You got to watch out everywhere. It was kind of fun because I'm going to go to school with her, so it's kind of Rob Morris against Rob Morris sort of games, which is kind of fun. I wouldn't say we exactly matched up against each other on the ice either. I played against multiple of their lines, but even just watching her from the bench, I could see some of her plays coming before she made them too, which was kind of funny. But she definitely, that second game we played, she definitely stepped it up too when they beat us the last game we played. She's just so quick. She's capable of making plays at any speed. She's definitely a very good player.
And then you guys went up against in the second game of that back in that weekend that you guys played. And you guys didn't get the result you wanted. I mean, you guys lost 5-3 in that game. You guys were up at 1-10 in that game, but you guys ended up losing that game 5-3. So, you're going to lose at some point. It must be nice to get it out pretty early. And I guess the team is talented as a team like Fabricland. But what did you learn about what did the team learn about themselves, would you say, in that loss in the classic season?
I think that loss against Swift Current, we were beating them the first period, and we kind of relaxed a bit, which we shouldn't have done, obviously. Kind of sucks. That was our last game we played before the break, but we just learned we can't take that team easy. They're a good team. They have very good players, very highly skilled. So we definitely learned from that game. We didn't have the best third period. We kind of swapped with them the day before. They had a good first and second and not as good of a third, and we kind of swapped with them on that. It just was unfortunate that was our last game that we played before the break.
Back here for this final part of Coffee with Graham's December 15th edition with Ryann Perrett. You just heard from our new sponsor, one of our official sponsors, Fabricland Winkler. Be sure to check them out at their website. Don't go at the website on me right now. Forgot to do that, but I'll be sure to plug it in all the upcoming episodes. But I'm sure if you search up Fabricland Winkler, you'll be sure to find all their products. So I've been talking to Ryann about her career with the Notre Dame Hounds of the Saskatchewan U18 AAA Female Hockey League. I've also talked to her about her commitment to Robert Morris University for the 2022-2023 season. And now we're going to dive into the time where Ryann played for the AFHL for Calgary Fire White and then Calgary Fire Red for 2 years prior to joining Notre Dame, their hockey academy, their school there. But starting off in 2017-18, you played in the AFHL U15 AA division in 2018-19 2017-18 for Calgary Fire White. And you guys had some successes that season. You guys finished as the top team in your division, and you had a solid stat line. 10 goals, 7 assists, 17 points. Just talk about the season that team had. You're coming in as one of the younger players, I'm assuming, in that season, but just talk about the experience of playing with that group of girls.
That year was definitely, I very much enjoyed that year. Our coaches focused on building character, good people. We had some good skill on that team. We won provincials that year. That was really my first year of, I'd say, high-level hockey, because before that it was kind of like equal teams. This was the first team I had to try out for as well. So that was a little bit nerve-wracking. But other than that, it was a big learning year, I'd say, for my play.
And how was that tryout process? Like you said, it was a nerve wrack. And how would you say you handled it that season?
I said I handled it pretty well. I was just calm, kind of had to accept what was given to me. It wasn't my decision whether I made it or not. Obviously, I'd try my best and play my best, but also being the youngest, because I was the first year that year, so had all these returning players. There was only a couple spots left between both Fire Red and White, so to start out with, that was a little bit nerve-wracking. Only, I think it was 10 spots available, and there's still girls that were older than me trying out. So that's probably better.
And I mean, you talked about how you guys ended up winning provincials that season. So I mean, I didn't get to see the stats of the provincials, but I do know that you guys played in a series against Olds Grizzlies. In 2 games, you defeated them, and I mean, you had 3 points, all assists in 2 games in that series. Just talk about the type of player you were in that playoff series and just throughout provincials for you particularly.
That was a couple of years ago. From what I remember, I was definitely not one of the fastest, but by the end of the year, my speed was up. I was learning. It was a big learning year, so my IQ was going up, speed was going up. I definitely got to play on a couple of the power play lines, which was nice. I can't really remember. That was a little while ago.
Yeah. That's what I figured before the interview. But I mean, you said that it's a year that you enjoyed very much. I mean, do you remember much about the provincial run as a whole as you guys made your way to that championship game or series? I'm not sure if it was a series or a game that you guys played in, but just the whole run of the provincials there.
It was definitely a lot of fun for my team. We were up north in Grand Prairie. We went 5-0. We won all of our games. I remember we were all there. We all wanted to win. We all put our best effort in. Yeah.
And I mean, you come into the league the next year, and I mean, you guys finish as the best team in your division, and you're playing for Calgary Red this time, Calgary Fire Red. And I mean, you have a great regular season, 21 goals, 9 assists, 30 points. And I mean, it is a while ago now, but I mean, you established yourselves as an elite goal scorer in the league that year. Would you say that was really the first time in your life where you saw your goal scoring ability really show?
Yeah, that's definitely a year where I got few points. That was a good year too, because that's when I could be more of a leader on the team. I was second year coming in, and we had lots of new girls on our team that had never played at that level. I got to play with one of my good friends that I get to play with now at Notre Dame, Payne Evans. We did really good that year. She was probably the top defenseman, I'd say, and I was one of the top forwards. So we played with each other lots. We could read each other. It was just a lot of fun for that year.
Yeah. And I mean, like the season prior, you guys finished first in the league. And I mean, you took more of a leadership role that year, and you guys, I mean, faced a team in the playoffs in the Red Deer Sutter Fun Chiefs, and you guys ended up losing in that series. I mean, after the year you guys had the year before of winning the provincial championship, I mean, not being able to, qualify for provincials in that season, I'm assuming you guys didn't qualify that year?
Well, actually, we were very lucky because Red Deer was hosting, so they already had a spot, so we were guaranteed before we even played that series. So that was very fortunate for us, and we ended up going to provincials that year and also winning.
Wow.
So, yeah, wow. That was nice.
So I mean, like disappointment losing to them, but I mean, you guys ended up getting in. I mean, what was that like?
It was definitely a lot of fun, especially because it was my last year in Calgary, last year in Bantam. I'd say Bantam, it was a lot more about kind of friends too, social, versus just hockey. So all of my close friends I've played with since I was young, I was leaving them the next year. So it was nice to play with all of them and win that last game. It was also nice because in provincials, we did end up beating the Red Deer that beat us before. So that was a little bit, I'd say, satisfying, I guess. But definitely just being with my friends at that time was probably my favorite part of it.
Yeah, and I mean, not only did you have a great career in, I mean, the Bantam League and the AFHL, but I mean, just on spring league teams, I mean, playing in the Northern American Hockey Classic, known as the premier youth AAA hockey series in North America. It's located here in my hometown, Winnipeg, Manitoba, and I mean, you got to play against, I mean, elite teams from across Canada, North America, like in the US. I mean, not just here in North America either. I mean, teams in Europe. Not sure if you guys played teams in Europe at all when you played, but I mean, that's what the description said. But I mean, you played the best of the best, pretty much, some of the best at least. Yeah. And I mean, in your 2017 debut in that tournament for Spartan Outlaws in the U12 Elite Division, I mean, you end up placing second in that tournament as a whole. I mean, not being able to get it done in the finals. And I know that's a while ago now, but I mean, fast forward to 2019, where you guys end up winning the tournament. I mean, you ended up winning the tournament with Nothern Alberta United. I mean, you guys able to win that event against the CWHL Future Stars. And I mean, you guys lost against them in the second game of that tournament, and you guys had to play a game later on that evening. So, I mean, you guys being able to rebound from that first loss and win later on in that evening, I'm sure that was probably the defining moment of the tournament for you guys.
Yeah, that team, we were together 2 or 3 years, I'm not sure, but we also played that other team that was from, I'm pretty sure they're from Winnipeg as well. They kept beating us, or we'd beat them one game, they'd win the next two. So it was very nice that in the final year we were going to that tournament too, we finally won. I think I went to that tournament 3 years. I'm pretty sure 3 years.
Yeah.
But playing my United 04 team was the top players in Alberta, with Emerson Jarvis, Rayne Murdoch, Andy Crew. Those are definitely some of the top 04s in Alberta. So playing with them, or I had Jacqueline Fleming on my line. She's a very smart player. I really enjoyed playing with her. They're a really good group of girls too. So it was also very fun. Some of my closest friends.
And then, I mean, playing with your closest friends, I mean, playing with, like you said, some of the top talent in Alberta for, like, at the time. I mean, you know, you guys lose that game in round robin in the second game against CWHL, the Future Stars, but then you guys end up beating them in the finals and you end up winning the tournament. So, I mean, what was that like, being able to, I mean, get some revenge against that team?
Yeah. Again, it was pretty satisfying, I'd say, because there's definitely a rival between us two teams, and we all had a pretty decent game as well. We were all proud of ourselves. Again, just being the last year that we could play in the tournament, it was a well-earned win, I'd say.
Well, thanks for joining me tonight, Ryan. This episode is being recorded on Monday evening, so the day before this episode goes out. So right before we sign off today on this edition of Coffee with Graeme, I'm going to let Ryan go here. We're going to go to our final commercial break here on the show. Not quite sure who it's going to be yet, but it's one of our lovely sponsors who have decided to sponsor Coffee with Graeme today for December 15th. I've been joined by Ryann Perrett, second-year forward for the Notre Dame Hounds, Robert Morris University commit for 2022-2023, a provincial champion at the Bantam level, and just a champion in general. I mean, like you said, winning the, Northern American Hockey Classic in 2019. We'll be right back in just a moment here with our final words here on Coffee with Graeme, December 15th edition. I've been your host, Graeme Forsyth, joined by number 14 for the Notre Dame Hounds, Ryann Perrett. Welcome back to Coffee with Graeme, this December 15th edition of the show. Before I let you guys go, I'm going to tell you about the upcoming episode of Coffee with Graeme, what guests you guys can expect to see in that show in our MFHL season coverage, and also an announcement of a new show that I'll be hosting coming this Friday. It's our pilot episode. Just a moment with that one, but first, I'm going to tell you guys about our MFHL season coverage for Week 10. This Thursday at 10:30 a.m., I'll be sitting down with two players from around the MFHL. I'll be speaking to Winnipeg Ice forward Juliana Duma. She just committed to York University. It's going to be fun to talk some hockey and about her university commitment in this upcoming edition of the show. I'll also be speaking to a heck of a goal scorer, if I do say so myself, just looking at her resume, and Joie Simone, captain of the Yellowhead Chiefs. Pretty sure that's how you pronounce her first and last name, but if it isn't, I'm sorry, but we're going to get it right on Thursday for sure. So that's for Coffee with Graeme's MFHL season coverage. You can catch that show on Thursday at 10:30 a.m. as mentioned before, all across the Amateur Sports TV network on YouTube, Facebook, and even Periscope now at Amateur Sports TV, or simply visit our website at www.amateursports.tv to catch the action. So now for the new announcement that is coming to the network, a new show that I'll be hosting. It's the Prospect Show. Now what the Prospect Show is going to be is me taking a look at all the great talent coming up and all the great talent that's established out of these prospects here in North America. And we're starting off with an established name. You guys might know him, you might not. It's Connor Geekie. He's been on the network before, interviewed by Theo Tukuluk a couple times from what I can recall, but it's going to be my first time talking to Connor. It's going to be fun talking to the 2019 WHL Bantam Draft number 2 overall pick by your Winnipeg Ice, for all you Winnipeg fans out there. And there might be some other guests that are going to be joining the show along with Connor in some other segments, but for now, Connor is the only guest we got on the show, and that's coming on Friday evening on Amateur Sports TV, the Prospect Show. Be sure to check it out all across the Amateur Sports TV network and on our website as well. So I've been your host of Coffee with Graeme and soon to be host of the Prospect Show, Graeme Forsyth, signing off today. Have a great rest of your day. Go out there and enjoy the warm or cold weather wherever you guys are at. I heard that outdoor rinks are opening. I can't wait to lace them up and get on the pond. But until next time, I've been your host, Graeme Forsyth, signing off. Have a good one. Cheers. Take care.